Hello, guys, and welcome back to League One predictions. We are back yet again after the crazy Christmas and New Year schedule. There's only 6 games to predict this week, so it's a slightly shorter video than usual, but kind of grateful for that after having to predict 24 games in the last 2 League One videos. I'm joined as always by Benjamin Bloom. How are you?
I'm all right. I get nervous when when there's very few games because you can get a really low score, can't you?
Yeah. Well, that brings us on to the scores, Ben, where over the last 2 games, it was Matt 8, Ben 12, which brings
Okay,
us to Matt's 181, Ben 182.
it's ridiculous. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's that tight. But hey, it is a thrilling race in the League One predictions, Matt.
It certainly is. Like I say, guys, there's only 6 games to predict this week, so please be sure to share your predictions. There's no excuses. There's only a few games on, so get your predictions down there, and one of them is tonight. So, like I say, get down there in the comments. Be sure to drop a like. We'll go for 900 on this one. Hit that thumbs up button. It takes 2 seconds to do. And if you want to support myself and Ben, then subscribe to both of our channels. Click the subscribe button over here if you haven't already, and subscribe to Benjamin Bloom, the first link in the description if you haven't already. And with all that said, Ben, let's get into the 6 predictions. And like I say, we're starting with tonight's game, which is a big one. Wycombe take on Huddersfield, which is second versus fourth. Over to you, Ben.
I bet you're glad you're not going first on this one. This is very, very evil one to judge, isn't it? Because obviously Wycombe had the monster streak, and whilst the monster streak is over, they're still not in bad form. You know, they lost the game against Charlton, didn't they? And then 4 points in the next 2. That'll still take you up. It was 93rd minute equaliser as well from Blackpool to steal the point. But Huddersfield are also in good form. I think we counted it up just in the green room beforehand, Matt. 10 maybe in the EFL without, I think some EFL trophy defeats in there. I think I'm going to have to go with home advantage, Matt. So I think I am going to go with Wycombe in this one, but it feels very, very tight. Very easy to call this one as a draw, but I'm going to go with just everything being aligned for Wycombe this season. And what I will say, Matt, is if we come away from this game and Wycombe have won it, you'd say that's the type of result that gets you a promotion, winning the key head-to-heads at home. So I'll go for them to do it. Massive game. Wycombe 1, Huddersfield 0.
Interesting. It is a massive game. It really is. It feels like the sort of game Huddersfield have to win if they're going to join in the race. I'm not sure if a draw would. I mean, a draw would. No, they've got to win. I know Huddersfield have got a couple of games in hand on Wrexham and 1 game in hand on Wycombe, but I've enjoyed Huddersfield. Their form's been great. I think they have to go and win this to drag themselves back into it. Wycombe's incredible form sort of carries on. I know it will be looked as 2 points dropped against Blackpool, but still in that top 2. I know they conceded late on. They've just brought in Sonny Bradley, haven't they, Wycombe? You were just saying before we started. But I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a football analyst in the EFL, and he says the departures of Morley and Taylor could be really critical for Wycombe because they've been really good. They've obviously gone back now from loan spells. And I wonder, I'm going to go for a statement here. Wycombe 0, Huddersfield 1. I'll go with... I'm going to go with things to open up. Huddersfield get the big result. As you say, their form's been incredible. Mike Duff got an incredible points tally with Barnsley before. Will they fall short like them? I don't know. I'm going to go for them to get the statement win. So interesting straight away. Neither of us going for the draw. Both going bold. Both backing one of these to win. Ben, you're going 1-0 Wycombe and I'm going 1-0 Huddersfield. That is definitely the biggest game in League One this week. Share your thoughts in the comments on that one. Let's move on, Ben, to Rotherham versus Bolton. I know I'm up first here, Ben, but a question. Does it feel like 2 managers that have been under a lot of pressure? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, it feels like we've been talking about it only like 2 games of not winning away from, is he going to be under pressure there? And it's just kind of fairly stripy for both of them recently, isn't it? Let's see where you go with this one, Matt.
So there's actually 9 points separating them in the table. And it feels like, although there has been pressure on Ian Evatt, they're never too far away from the playoffs, whereas Rotherham,
No.
it feels like they're a long way off. I think Rotherham have picked up a couple of draws in the last couple of games against decent teams. I think it was 0-0 against Huddersfield last time, but really tricky this. Bolton pull results out when it matters. So does Steve Evans at Rotherham. I think a defeat would be a crushing blow for either, so let's go for a draw in this one. I'm going to go 1-1. I think Bolton have been the better team this season, but Rotherham have been better when they've been at home, so I'll give them a draw.
I thought I was going to be scribbling out my Desmond then, because we were going down the same. Route. It's hard to separate them. I think we would both probably back Bolton if it was at the tough sheet. It always rolls off the tongue, that one, doesn't it? I always feel as well, sometimes when you get these matchups, you think Rotherham can score against Bolton, from putting the ball in the box, and you think Bolton can score against Rotherham from playing through them. Do you know what I mean? So it does feel like a both teams to score kind of scenario, doesn't it? So I'll play the Desmond. Rotherham 2, a Bolton 2.
I like that. Both finding the first couple of games difficult to separate, and we're both going for a draw in that one. Do share your thoughts if you are a Rotherham or Bolton fan. Bolton's certainly still within touching distance of the playoffs. As for Rotherham, it takes something special, like an incredible winning run to get there, but I don't know, could Steve Evans do that? They're leaving themselves a lot of work to do. Ben, I will let you go first for the game at Bloomfield Road as Blackpool take on Cambridge.
Yeah, and it looks like the Cambridge splurge is over and finished and done and was very short, because they have lost a lot of games lately and they're right back down into the relegation zone. We thought for a while, Cambridge can play their way out of it here, but it's not looking that way. Blackpool are very, very draw heavy, and they obviously went whoosh and then levelled out as well. But it does feel like Blackpool are ticking most of the boxes as favourites for this one. So let's throw some goals in as well. Blackpool 3, Cambridge 1.
Oh, I like that. There you go. Blackpool 3, Cambridge 1. What I'm struggling with here, Ben, is I agree with what you've said. Cambridge did have a resurgence. It was draws for a lot of time, wasn't it? They're picking up draws and sort of moving at a point per game. But now, it's an incredible long losing run. But Blackpool are not winning many at the moment either. There's a lot of draws in there for Blackpool. I think Cambridge would be sort of glad of getting a draw from this one, but then they need wins, don't they? As for Blackpool, you could see them sort of stagnating in the middle unless they do something incredible, because they're 10 points above the bottom four and 11 points off the playoffs. So I'm thinking narrow home win, maybe. Wouldn't be totally surprised if Cambridge get out with a draw. But yeah, I'm going Blackpool 2, Cambridge 1. I think Blackpool just grind it out. They've had some good draws in there, don't get me wrong. I think 0-0 against Birmingham was a good one. But I think they struggled to beat Shrewsbury the other day and, got dispatch of these bottom four teams if you want to get into the playoff race. So I will go for Blackpool. We've got 2-1 and 3-1. Next up, Ben, I'm up first for the game at Sixfields as Northampton take on, I suppose you could call them Flying Barnsley. 4 wins in a row. They've moved up to 5th. I think, looking at the points and the games they've played, it's going to be a struggle to see them breaking down that top 2 race, don't you think, Ben? I think the standard's probably too high.
Well, you say 4 wins as well. Bolton, Peterborough, I know they're both not quite where they've been, but they beat Wrexham as well, so they're in really good form. Barnsley. And we haven't spoken, actually. Kevin Nolan is now, I think did he take them before as caretaker? I can't remember, but he's now the full-time Northampton manager. I don't think we've done a show since that's happened.
Yeah, so Barnsley, of course, are in decent form. They've been moving along nicely. Northampton, then, 5 points in the last 3. And a gap's actually opened now, Ben, between Northampton, Peterborough, Bristol Rovers and the bottom 4. A 5-point gap from Crawley and an 8-point gap from the teams above the drop against Shrewsbury. So it does feel like it changes every so often, but we did say after the first 10, 12 games, this looks like our bottom 4. A couple of them pulled some results back, and now it's starting to look like they cut adrift again. Northampton would be very grateful for a draw, I'm sure, to keep them ticking along and moving away from this. I think Barnsley might just snatch it, though. I know Barnsley have been a little bit peculiar with the odd result, and maybe that's what could cost them a place in the top 2 race at the end of the season, but I still think playoffs is definitely achievable. I'm going to go Northampton 1, Barnsley 2.
Yeah, I like 2-1, actually. And I don't want to damn with faint praise, but if you look at the teams Northampton have scored those points against, Shrewsbury, Stevenage at home, and then Burton, there is the argument that it's soft fixtures plus new manager bounce, and yeah, I've got Barnsley comfortable here, I think. I did like 2-1, actually. So I will scratch out that Northampton goal and I'll take a 2-0. Northampton 0, Barnsley 2.
Yeah, actually, it's a very good point. I didn't highlight who Northampton had played in the last couple of games. I suppose at the same time, you could say, though, Ben, it's more important to win the head-to-heads than
well, that's true. Yeah.
But the main thing is Northampton have opened up a bit of a gap. So, well, I don't want to say they could afford a defeat technically, but they'll be looking to kick on. But yeah, we're both going with Barnsley to win. So do share your thoughts. Ben, it's Huddersfield Town again. They're playing twice in League One this week. They're away again. This time at Shrewsbury. You're up first. Are you going to back them to win this time?
Yes, I am. Yeah, this feels a little bit more straightforward than a very, very difficult one to call. And it's one of those really interesting kind of sort of paradigms of a 46-game league where Mike Duff he may say, well, look, 3 points is not the end of the world across the 2 games. 4 points are really doing it. Doesn't matter which way around you get them in it. Do you know what I mean? The games just stack up, don't they? And even though you've got this big head-to-head, there's a great opportunity. I think I made my point in quite a clumsy way there, but you know what I mean? You're straight back on the horse, and it might not be the end of the world if they did lose to Wycombe, if they follow it up with what should be, if you look at the league table, a routine win at Shrewsbury. I always like Shrewsbury for both teams to score. And we've got very few games here, Matt, so I will be playing for a bonus point here. Shrewsbury 1, Huddersfield 4.
Oh, Ben, I like that.
The Shrewsbury fans won't.
No, that's true. Feels a little bit like the Huddersfield Town show this week. There's only 6 games and Huddersfield are appearing twice.
Yeah.
It definitely will have some bearing on it, how they get on against Wycombe tonight. But wouldn't it be interesting if they won away at Wycombe and then lost at Shrewsbury?
Mate, it's the EFL.
Yeah, exactly. It's maybe not too far-fetched. Shrewsbury did have a bit of a resurgence over Christmas, Ben. By that, I mean they went a few games without losing. It was a few draws. They did pick up a win against Lincoln, and that was at home. I think their only wins under Ainsworth have come at home because they had that that win against Birmingham as well.
Mental.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Huddersfield. Seeing as you've gone high scoring, I will go the complete opposite, and I'm going to back Huddersfield 1-0 again. Being pragmatic maybe, but I also could see a 4-1 coming in because Shrewsbury have had a few goals in their games. Huddersfield are in great form, as we say. There you go. We're both back in Huddersfield, though, so do share your thoughts on Shrewsbury versus Huddersfield. And if you're a Shrewsbury fan as well, can you see a way out of this? If you get a result here, it'd be massive. And then finally, Ben, I'm up first for another game, which is quite important down at the bottom. You've got mid-table Stevenage taking on rock bottom Burton. And what do we say about teams that are right at the bottom when 4 go down as well? They're 11 points from safety, Ben. 11 points. 22 games to go. Not quite sure what they'd have to average. Let's do a little bit of mathematics. I think do you need mid-40s or high 40s to stay up? I think it's high 40s
with 4 to stay, 4 going down. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a number that's not looking very achievable, whatever it is.
No, it certainly isn't. So, yeah, they're going to have to do something very, very special here, Burton. Can they get a result at Stevenage? I don't fancy them. Burton have won 2 games in 24, Ben. Stevenage, quite a few draws recently, 3 in the last 5. Favourable fixture for Stevenage. Sort of as we said earlier with Northampton, they picked off the win when they played Burton. Stevenage, I think, will pick off the win now. I can't go for another 1-0, so I'm even scribbling out my own prediction here, Ben. I'm going to go 2-0 to Stevenage.
Thank you very much. I'll take the 1-0 to Stevenage then. We've had a couple of narratives throughout the season. One is that Burton are going to struggle and have been really badly struggling. The other is that Stevenage aren't very good away from home, but I've got the home table up in front of me. They're 7th. So they're much better at home than they are away from home. We like them for a low margin home win, which is why I'm amazed you've allowed me to take Stevenage 1, Burton 0. But maybe that pays more heed, Matt, to the fact that you think Burton might be loose enough for Stevenage to not win by a fine margin and win by a larger margin. But no, I'll take the obvious clean sheet home win for Stevenage.
Yeah, some might say I'm giving you a chance by letting you have the 1-0 Stevenage, but no, I agree. I think it's almost too predictable. If there's Stevenage fans that watch this, they must be thinking, here they are again, 0-0s and 1-0s. Let's spice it up. Let's go for the 2-0 this time. But as you say,
live dangerously.
Yeah, I know that should be a bonus point, Ben.
Yeah, right.
But no, I agree with what you said. Maybe that does reflect badly on Burton and what my thoughts are on them. But that does wrap it up. Ben, only the 6 games this week. I've got to say, looking at the top end of the table with which teams are in action, Huddersfield have a real opportunity to move into the race at the top, because if they can pick off 6 or even just 4 points from these 2 games, they certainly get in there. So final thoughts on that promotion race. I mean, we still expect Birmingham to go the distance, but very close for second place.
Well, I think you've nailed what the messaging is going to be around Huddersfield this week, isn't it? It's you're almost kind of unchallenged there, and the only other team that's playing, you're literally playing against them, and you have the chance to affect what Wycombe are doing. It would be great fun if we came back next time and it was 50-51, 51-53. I've obviously backed that not to be the case. I've backed Wycombe to overtake Birmingham again. It's very predictable, but the long play here is obvious that, we think Birmingham are going to be either over 100 points or close to, and we'll win the league in the end. And I hadn't realised that you've smartened me up there on the Wycombe's squad being weakened as well, with Loneys returning. And more so, I think, than any other division, this January transfer window in League One, as opposed in the Premier League, big deals don't tend to get done in January. They just don't, because of the amount of money involved. In the Championship, there's a little trickle-down effect, and those huge parachute teams, they do it in summer. You might get a big loan signing or whatever. Whereas in League One, you get people like Aston Villa redirecting Louis Barry away from Stockport, and there will be players that open up now, the ones that are maybe being redirected themselves, that you can get. So certainly my experience with Ipswich had the most money, but when they signed Nathan Broadhead, absolute game changer. That you can have big impact signings in League One. Obviously, in terms of the money, you would expect it's Wrexham and Birmingham that can do that, but those loan signings can get you over the line, Matt.
They certainly can. Very well put, by the way, in terms of the transfer market. It'll be interesting to see what transfer activity goes down. Will Birmingham spend another 30 million? Be interesting
well done.
as well.
You triggered the Birmingham lot now, Matt. Well done.
Some big games coming, though. And as I say, crucial game in hand tonight. The Birmingham fans will probably have an eye on that. So will the Wrexham fans. And plenty of games coming next week, so definitely join us for that. That wraps it up for this week, though. A massive thank you to you, Ben, for joining me, as always, on the League One predictions. Please do go to Ben's channel, subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. And what can they find over there, Ben?
Well, they can find we're finally back to normal, and the return of Sam Parker and Matt SB in the Premier League and Championship check-in podcasts are going to be back now. So, Matt and I will break the fourth wall. We've just recorded the Premier League show. I'll put that out. That'll go out today, actually, as we're recording. Then you can see Sam tomorrow on the channel as well. So, loads of good stuff. Really, really appreciate everybody's support. And, just get your comments in, get your predictions in, and get your knowledge in if you're a season ticket holder or an attender at these games in League One.
Yeah, definitely. We appreciate all of your comments, guys. So please do get down there, share your predictions and any more opinions and views you want to give to us, as long as they're nice and constructive. Make sure you've liked the video as well, and we'll see you for more League One predictions next week. Take care. Peace out.